Hello, my name is Eamon Kelly and I'm going to guide you through the A-Level IT 9626 2017 March paper for the animation section. We're going to be using Adobe Animate. Let's watch the video. Okay, so it looks quite straightforward, but it's a little trickier than you might expect. Okay, this is also suitable for anybody who is studying animation or starting out with Adobe Animate. Now, the number of skills it will cover: setting the frame size and the number of frames per second, importing and resizing images, creating and naming layers, fading in and fading out of images, converting objects to symbols, and then converting and then working with classic and motion tweens, adding text and doubling in size, and making sure that the animation loops or plays continuously. When we're finished, we will save or export the animation in a suitable format for a website. In this case here, we could save it or export it as a MOV file or an MP4. So we'll be going to save it as an MP4. Recommendations. I suggest that you highlight the examination paper for those who are sitting the exam, a little bit like what I've done with the PDF here. So I've read through the task, I've highlighted it, the important points, but also I use a notepad at the same time for taking notes and sometimes maybe for calculations and so on. And if you look at this here, I've taken some notes from the exam paper. I've also written in some of the words that I'll copy and paste into my Animate file because I know with Notepad it's not going to copy any fonts or formats in, so it won't cause any problems. Also, if I have to redo things, then at least I have the words here, or sometimes I have to repeat words, let's say for layer names or for symbol objects and so on. I've also got the text that I'll be using here, and I've also got the file name here, this one here. Also for people who are a little unfamiliar with the different tweens, classic tween, shape tween, and motion tween, I've just put a little note here underneath as well. Okay, so let's look at the exam paper. It's task 3, and you're asked to create an animated advert. The frame size should be 500 pixels wide by 300 pixels high. It should consist of 3 clips, each lasting 2 seconds, so it's only 6 seconds in total, playing continuously. The first one is fade in of the Woodlands PNG, so and at the same time we'll have the text Woodlands, so we'll probably bring in this on one layer and this text on another layer. Same for peaceful image, and then set in a peaceful countryside, wildlife, and here we're image and then also the text here, and the clip should fade out to about 50%. Okay, so we have fade in. I'm not sure if each of these should fade out as well, but we're going to get to the fade out, and the last one definitely should fade out. All the text should appear in the center of the image, and it should be white sans serif font. We're not told how large this should be, and the text should double in size during the clip. So we need to convert this text to a symbol before changing the size, and then we need to export it in a format that's suitable for a web page. And the file name, in this case, we're going to be converting. We're going to export it as an MP4, and the file name is this here, which I've also over here. So let's get started on Adobe Animate. I'm going to copy this straight away from my notepad because it's something that I tend to forget otherwise. I know the width at the top is 500 by 3, so Control-C into Adobe Animate. This is the first screen that you're likely to get, and we're going to work with HTML5 canvas. I'm going to, now you can see it, okay, just stall for a second, just kind of lags for a second, that's normal. Okay, I'm going to go in and actually save this straight away. I'm going to go File, Save As. Now I'm going to stay with the Animate document format, and you see here that I have created my exam folder. So you will be given the folder name, and then you need to add the section number and candidate number. So clicking on this here, and down the bottom I'm going to copy and paste what I have from the Word document in here. Now I'm going to replace what's there already because I've already done this once. Okay, next I need to go, I'm clicking on my canvas, on my frame, over on the right hand side to properties, and make sure you have properties and libraries open here. If not, just go to window and you'll find properties. Over on the right hand side, so I'm on my canvas and I'm going to change this. I'm clicking on size, W, this is 500, and the height, 300. I'm also going to go in and change the frames per second here. It normally defaults to 24, but I'm going to change it to 30. It just makes it easier for me. Back to the exam paper. And the first one I'm bringing in is image is Woodlands. And I'm going to call the layer also Woodlands. I like to get used to naming everything. So I'm going to actually copy, because I've typed it in over here, Control C, Control V here. So clicking on the first frame, go to my folder here, go to my source files, and I bring in Woodlands. Okay, you could try moving this into place like this here. Okay, it's moved in and it's exactly the right size. Sometimes I go to the property section, I go to position and size and click on X and Y, put in 0 and 0, and then the width and the height of the image. So we have this here. I'm going to go to the 2 seconds long, so I'm going to insert here. I'm going to right click, insert. Click on the first one. I'm going to right click on the image because we need this to fade in, so I'm going to convert to symbol. I'm going to call this Woodlands as well, because I've also saved this. Then I'm going to go to Insert, a Motion Tween. I'm going to click on Image. I'm clicking on Image at the moment. I want this to fade in. So I'm going to go over to the right-hand side, Properties, Color Effect, Style, and I'm clicking on to fade in, fade out. I'm going to click on Alpha. And it comes in as 50. Okay, I'm going to leave it at 50. Yeah, that comes in at 50. I could make it a little bit less, but I'm going to leave it at that. At the 1 second mark, I'm clicking on this here. I'm going to click on the image again. I could insert my keyframe here, but I don't actually need to, because once I click on Properties, Color Effect, Style again, click on Alpha, I'm going to change this to 100. And look what happens in your timeline. It automatically adds the timeline. And then at the very end, this one here, I'm having difficulty grabbing this here at the moment, or clicking on this. Okay, click on the image again, and I'll change this back to 50. Okay, I'm going to go back to the beginning and see if this works. Coming in and fading out. Good, okay. I'm going to lock in the timeline. I'm going to lock this here because I want the next layer. And the next layer should be text. And it's for Woodlands. I click on the text that I'm going to use here is going to be Woodlands as well. Control C. And on the right hand side, I've clicked my first frame here in the timeline. On the right hand side, I click on text tool. It's already the correct color. We're asked that it is the text, because I've done this before, I already know. So it's white sans serif font. So we've got the color here. It's white. And okay, and the family here. We could easily change this if it was something else, but I'm this is Arial. So click on the screen here and Control V. Click this in. Now you may need to change the text box a little bit. Work with that. Okay, the size of it. Again, I'd recommend that you have a mouse doing this. I'm going to click off this over to the selection tool. I'm clicking this here, and I'm going to right click on it now and convert to symbol. And I'm going to call this simply text 1. And I'm also going to center this here. So I could go to Window, Align, and this will show up, or if not, I just click beside the Properties panel, click on this here, and Align, Horizontal Center, and you see the text is now centered. Now I'm going to go up to Insert, and I'm going to need a motion tween. I'm going to go to the last frame. Okay, just see it. This is 139, so I'm going to double this. We say 140, so that's 280 by 30, 31, so by 62. So I'm going to change this here for this one, and I'm going to go. So I'm in position and size, so 280 by 62. Okay, and we see our motion. Okay, what I'm going to do is still clicking on the last keyframe and still pressing on the symbol here in Woodland's text. I'm going to go to Align again, Horizontal Center, Distribute. Okay. I'm going to go back to the beginning to see if this works and play. Good. Okay, I'm happy with that. Next, I'm going to lock my Woodlands text layer, create a new layer. And the new layer, I have notes here, is Peaceful. Control C. The image I'm supposed to bring in is Peaceful, but the text is different. So click on my timeline, Control V, Peaceful. Now this is going to start on the second. So click on this here, the second of the timeline. I'm going to insert keyframe. I've locked these other two layers. So I'm going to bring in the Peaceful image. See, this is much bigger this time. So I'm clicking on that image, and I'm going to go over to the right hand side, Properties, and change this to 500 by 300. Then I'm going to go to still in the same place. I'm going to convert this to a symbol because we're going to fade this in. I'm going to call this Peaceful again. The symbol is going to be called Peaceful. And I'm going to scroll across to the bottom because we need this to stay for 2 seconds. I'm going to insert a time or insert a frame. Go to the very first one again. I'm going to go to clicking on the it's now a symbol, the image. I go up to Insert, Motion Tween. Then clicking on the image, I want this to fade in. So I need to go to the Properties, Color Effect, Style, and back to Alpha again. And it's 50, and I'm happy that it comes in at 50. I could maybe try it at 40, but I'm going to bring it in at 50. And then I'm going to move to the second. Here I want it to be fully visible. I click on it, go to Color Effect Alpha once more, and I put it. And you see that it's automatically inserted a time frame here. Go to the very last one. Click at the image, Color Effect Alpha, and 50. Again, I'm going to check this is working okay. Okay, it seems to be. I'm going to lock that layer next text layer. So text for peaceful. I'm going back to the second. I'm going to insert my keyframe here again. I'm going to get my text. I have it typed up here in my notepad. Control C. Go over to text on the right hand side, the text tool. Insert in the middle. Control V. Again, I might need to resize this a little bit. I'm going to go to the selection tool to do this. Okay. I'm going to right click on this and convert this to a symbol and call this is text 2. Okay. I'm going to go to the align tool. So beside properties, align. I'm going to center it. Okay. So I'm now clicking on the second, the text layer, the text peaceful layer, and I'm going to go up and insert motion tween. If I click on the very last one here, it's going to be motion tween, forward second. I click on the symbol again, and I go over to properties and I see its width is 175 by 5980. So I'm going to change this to 175, double that. This is where your notepad would come in handy. So it's going to be 350. And we can leave this more as this, doubling this here by 120. $350. Over in properties, position and size by 120. And we see our text. Okay, what I need to do here it's important that it's centered as well. So I'm clicking on the align. And again, I'm going to just go and check this. Okay. Again, I'm going to lock this layer. I'm in the timeline, create a new layer. This time, the next one is called wildlife. I'm going to rename my layer. Control V. This is going to come in, the image is going to come in the 4th second, just as the other one fades out. I'm going to insert keyframe. Scroll over a little bit on the bottom. I'm going to, at this stage, I'm going to bring in my image. Wildlife, I have a copy here. Again, I could move this into place or just click on the image, go over to the right hand side, and I'm position. So properties, position and size, 0, 0. And it fits into place. Still clicking on the same, on the timeline, I'm going to right click on this here, convert to symbol. And this we're going to call the symbol, we're just going to wildlife. And I'm going to insert the 2 seconds. So on the 6th second, I'm going to insert frame. Go back to the first one. So 4th second, I'm going to go insert motion tween. I'm going to click on the image or which is now the wildlife symbol. Click on this here. Properties, color effects. And it's coming in at 50. I'm going to go to the 5 seconds. Click on it again, the symbol. Change the alpha to 100. You see that the keyframe has gone in automatically, and then go to the very last one. Click on the image and take it back to 50. Okay, I'm going to lock this layer here and assume this is working okay. And then my final layer, which is the text for wildlife. So again, text. I'm going to click on where the text comes in. So here in the 4th second, I'm going to insert, right click, it's a keyframe. I've locked my other layers. I'm going to go over to text. Again, the color and everything has been set. The text we need this time is lots of wildlife. Control C. So back over here, Control V. I could leave it like this here, or if I wanted to, okay. I'm clicking on the first. I'm going to right click on this again. I need to go over to the selection tool to do so. Right click on it. So I want to convert it to symbol. We call this text 3. I'm going to center it. Horizontal center. Just distribute and it's centered. I'm going to go to the very last one and double the size. So I click on the very last frame here. Oh no, did I? I'm not sure if I did. No, I didn't insert. Insert motion tween. Go to the last one. And over here at the side, I'm going to click on the text symbol. So it's 193 by 30. So I'm going to change that to, I'm doing the calculations here on a piece of paper, but 193. So it's 386. We've got 31, which should become 62. So I'll change this to 386 by 62. Okay, we see I need to center this, so I'm clicking on this here. It needs to be in the center of the screen, so a line and a line. Okay, I'm going to go back to the very beginning, play it all, see if it works. Okay, and I'm going to go File and Save. A good idea to save on a more regular basis than I've done. Going back to the exam paper, the text should double in size. We've done that. Now we need to export the animation in a suitable format as an MP4. Okay, so I'm going back here. I'm going to go File. I'm going to export video. I'm going to click on this here just to make sure that I have it in the right place. And I see here, and you see it's exporting at the bottom as a MOV file, and this would also be okay. So export it as a MOV file. What's also going to happen is Adobe opens up at the bottom of our screen, and within about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, it will open up Adobe Media Encoder. And here then we can convert the MOV file to a MP4 file. In the meantime, let's just check our exam. And we see we have our MOV file here. Interesting also to look at the size of the MOV file in comparison to the size of the MP4 in a second. Just close that for a second. Waiting for the Adobe Media Encoder to open. Okay, now it's opened. I'll click on this in the bottom of my screen. And we see it here. And again, here, if you needed to change anything here, you could do so. And already they've chose MP4. And I click on the top right-hand corner, Start Queue. And just click on this here, and you'll see that it'll be converted here to an MP4 file. Go back into my folder. And I now see I've got an MP4, which is much smaller than the MOV file. Back into the exam paper, and I think that was it. Okay, so you see also this is a good idea to save the Woodlands advert with center number and candidate number from the very beginning. Just saves time. Again, as I say, creating your folder at the very beginning, your exam folder, and saving all your documents into it is a good idea. Save your Animate file, as I just mentioned, as an Adobe Animate file from the very beginning with the correct file name. Take 1 or 2 minutes, I say here, to decide on the fastest approach, because sometimes we might start something and then realize that actually there's a quicker way of doing it. And again, if you want to change the playback speed or redo this animation, then you can use playback speed to do it faster or slower, whatever suits you. I would recommend trying these things over and over again because it's very, very easy to make mistakes. Okay, I hope that has helped, and thank you very much for watching.